All right. Let me just make sure. Yep, my mic is working. Okay. Yeah, it's always really fun when you start stream. You share out the link and everything like that. And oh, that's right. For whatever reason, the Cintiq decides, oh, hey, yeah, by the way, you need to restart your computer now. So, that's fun. But we're here now, so that's good. Okay, I have to remember how to do all this. I have to remember how to draw covers. I want to start with this tree. So my brother won't be joining tonight. He is busy. So it's just going to be me illustrating something here. I'm actually going to do something. Because I'm really irritated that I sent out those links. I'm going to make a new link. Ah, for the love of... do that. And do that. There we go. Okay. There we go. That's sorted now. I need to figure out how these branches are going to look. this branch is going to look. So I want this to continue on like a tree does. This illustration is probably going to take a few days to get right. The last cover I did took a little while, but it's always worth the extra effort, especially considering the cover, the first thing that's seen. Okay, so let's see what I can do in terms of the canopy. Not quite like that. truth be told, I like... Yeah, that's good for the composition, actually. So we need to extend this. Yo, Saki. Hope you're doing well. Good to have you. Let's see. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a branch. I don't like how thin that is there. Oh, what's up, last name? Good to have you. This is a pleasant surprise. Hope you've been well. It's been a long time since we've had you in stream. We've kind of migrated over to YouTube. Well, who knows? Maybe I can kind of help it. Gonna be a pretty quiet stream today. Usually I'm streaming with my brother, but he's taking care of some stuff, so he's not here today. Unfortunately. But hopefully next week. I'm doing fine. Funny enough, the Noir Cat Show, Lactates, that came out, and it's gotten some big press, which made me happy. The team worked really hard on it, and very happy that they've been able to find such resounding success after all their efforts. So, very fun. Reminds me, I need to share some more of those clips. I shared one online, one of my shots that I did, and quickly became my most popular post. My brother isn't an animator; he's more an illustrator. He has done a little bit of animation, but he mostly does it just for fun. Just if he has a goofy little idea pop into his head. But for the most part, he's more of an illustrator. Funny enough, he's actually more like forms himself more around comics than I do. But as of late, I've been working on comics a bit more. He's been doing a lot more writing. Though he doesn't stream writing because it's just not a great thing to stream. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I was really happy with how it turned out as well. Very fun. Okay, let's cloak here. Yeah, actually, let me go ahead and shoot my, or rather his channel over to you here. Oops. Yeah, here it is. and check out some of his stuff. He also has a website as well, which hosts more of his artwork. You should be able to find your way from his channel there. Actually, reminds me, I really should put that channel down in the description below. Left you with a taste of more. That's good. Hopefully there will be more. We'll all just have to see. I would love to work on more personally. There's definitely an interest, I'll say that, in making more. Let's see if it's fun. It's just kind of hard in this environment to really, like, know how to progress, as it were. I've had some interesting conversations with different creators in regards to, you know, what it takes to make an animated series. It's a very challenging thing just because it takes so many resources, and for something like, you know, video games, independent games, there's a really good chance that, like, here's all the pages. But there's a really good chance that it'll pay back a little bit better, right? Especially if you're like a solo dev or something like that who can make a successful game. Games just sell really well. In animation, it's hard to sell animation. You know, there's a market for games. A game you buy, right? An animated series you buy eventually, right? That's just not how animation, or movies for that matter. Well, movies a little bit more so, I guess, because theatrical releases and DVDs and things like that. But shows, serialized shows and stuff like that. Exactly, yeah. It's on a lease, and so you're always kind of bound. Where do I want to put this? This is the cover. Put it here. There we go. You're always kind of at the beck and call of these, you know, companies and corporations. You know, they're the ones with the platform. So hopefully, my hope is that, you know, we'll kind of change that here in the future. I don't know. We need a Steam for animation. Yeah, like that's kind of the interest. You're not selling to an audience, right? You're selling to, like, say, a platform, and they're not interested in art. That's kind of the odd irony of it, is those platforms that house the art, well, that's not what they care about. Like, that's far beneath them to consider worth their time. Ironically enough, yep. But with the rise of such independent platforms and stuff like that, like I mean, I've had ideas, man. I would love to somehow create an independent network. Because I look at, like, things like Hyun's Dojo is a really good example. Hyun's Dojo is a stick fighting community. And I'm not going to, overselling like they're this crazy runaway success and stuff like that, but they're able to successfully promote and support a ton of like really cool work, right? They're this really kind of actually a fairly loose community where just people kind of come and go, but they have their art. It's very grassroots. It's very much interested in, art for art's sake, in a way, in their case, stick fighting. And it has it works. It's kind of off the grid in terms of any kind of like major platform. They do things with other like big companies and stuff like that, like Epic and whatnot, which is kind of funny. But in terms of what they are and whatnot, it works. It's probably a lot of work, but like we're animators. That's that's part of the course, right? So it would be super fun to figure out a way to build a network. And I would want it to be like more like a stream, like a channel, right? Where you turn it on and you don't necessarily know what you're gonna get. That way, like, it's like, oh, there's this series coming up or this short coming up. No idea who the creator is, but it's gonna be on, so why not like tune in, right? I just feel like that's a more interesting way than like hoping some algorithm pushes your content and whatnot, right? You could get more experimental with it. You could be a little bit more like, let's just see what happens without kind of the risk of like destroying something, Kind of go a little bit more old school. Yeah, it would be kind of tricky. It would almost have to kind of rely on, well, the big one is advertising, right? That's what television learned back in the 40s, was they were like, okay, well, there's a lot of potential here, but actually it's what radio learned, funny enough, before television. But how do we support this, essentially? The answer was, oh, well, we gotta get sponsors. We gotta get people who are willing to hand over cash, and then we give them something in return. An advertisement section, a shout out, whatever it is. And it's kind of funny how we've sort of gone back to that with YouTube. You have the sponsor and everything like that. It's very reminiscent of an older age where it's like, oh yeah. Only instead of selling cigarettes and telling you that doctors actually recommend them, we're shilling NFTs. Okay, not entirely, but still. Yeah, it gets real sketchy. I mean, there's all kinds of controversies that come out of it, and the thing is that there's less like management, right? Which means there's more freedom, but on the flip side, unfortunately, that also means that there's more potential exploitation and stuff like that. So it's a balancing act. So there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it. Yeah, there's also that too, where you're basically selling yourself to someone else, and then the independence is lost, and we're right back where we started. Yeah, that's been kind of a hard thing that I've been thinking about, because I have projects in mind that I want to do on YouTube, and it would be nice to be able to get money out of it, like straight up, right? To be able to support it, to be able to promote it, to be able to keep doing it, right? To be able to put money back into it. The problem is, though, as far as sponsors go, like there's one project I have in mind where, like, because usually you have the break in the video, right? Where it's like, oh, let me tell you about today's sponsor. And either, the person does it in character, or it's the reviewer or whoever, right? They do it in character and it works and everything like that. Well, for the projects I have in mind, I can't do that. I can't even have like a sponsor section, right? It just would destroy the illusion, essentially. It relies too much on what's happening in front of you being immersive, essentially. And so at that point, it's like, well, that's a giant potential, way to make something happen, like out the window, essentially, right? Cost from customers who are used to selling their data on favor of free content. Yeah, in favor of free content. Yeah, which, yeah, that's an interesting idea. It can be done, Patreon and other things. Ideally not Patreon, but Ko-Fi. That's kind of what I'm like, or Coffee. It's what I want to look into. I would love to be able to like offer content through Coffee. Actually, I need to get that set up. There's so much I need to set up. But that's the way it goes. How's that looking? That's looking good. That's looking good. Okay. Yes. Very good. Okay, now we do the symbol, because this is important. So yeah, it's definitely a puzzle to be worked out. Yep, no, that's true. So I'll figure it out as I go. I am really excited to do those projects. Right now, this whole thing is taking up my time, unfortunately. And you always wish you had more time, especially as a creator, because, boy, you want to get things done, doggone it, and that doesn't happen when you just don't have the time for everything. Makes it stinking hard. I'm just really grateful that I have the time through my work to be able to work on stuff like this, and still pursue it and live and everything like that. I'm very much blessed in that way. So very grateful for that. That looks pretty good. So, actually, I like the opening. I like the opening, but we'll put a little dash in there. There we go. Okay, so yeah, no, definitely, and it's kind of funny because artists really do need to be entrepreneurs. Like even if you're in the industry, like at the end of the day, your product is yourself, right? Your skill set, your experience, everything like that. And so you have to be able to market yourself, right? And yet it's one of the most neglected things in terms of like what's taught. That's why everybody I know of, like for the most part, they say, hey, if you're gonna do art and you're really passionate, like you're really into it and stuff like that, like you probably don't even need to bother like going to school for art. You're going to learn this stuff yourself, right? again, there's tons of resources and everything, but what might be beneficial is like a marketing degree, essentially. So one thing I really wish I had more was marketing advice and things like that. I was actually really lucky to actually have a class offered to me by someone. I'll just say someone, I guess. Very nice of them to offer that, and so I've been trying to make the most of that experience and knowledge. Though I'm not very good at it at the end of the day. Okay, so let's have her. So I do have some. I've gotten some good foundations for successful business down. But the really hard part I'm finding personally is that like my primary interest is in working on my own stuff, right? Like that's really what I'm interested in. But obviously I can't just do that. I've got to, contribute to society and everything like that. I got to make money. And so I do, right? But I could be doing a lot more in terms of, getting work and things like that if I was really gunning for that, and I was willing to utilize my time in a way that didn't do so much of this, but did more like work for other people, right, for businesses and things like that, which I do want to do. But finding the balance between getting this done, my day job, and the side business stuff, like that starts, oh boy, that starts to become complicated. So yeah, that's the really tough part, because I do really want to get more experience under my belt, because more experience, working on things for other people, that's where opportunities really start to show up. People start to see that you're serious, that you're more than just somebody off in a corner doing their own thing, right? Yeah, no, definitely. Some people are a little bit more inclined than others, I would say. But that's the way with everything. This is what I tell people who aren't very social, when they're like really conscious of the fact that they're not social, right? What I tell them is social skills are like any other skills. You have to work on them. You don't have someone who's just straight up social, right? You have people who were kind of encouraged in it maybe when they were younger or whatever. Maybe they have that kind of advantage, or maybe they're more inclined towards it. But like, I believe anybody can learn how to animate, right? Do I believe everyone's going to be James Baxter at the end of the day? No, but you can still learn how to animate, right? And it's a lot of fun. And you can get good use out of it for yourself. James Baxter does his own thing with animation, and he makes the most of it. You can make the most of animation as well, and that doesn't mean you gotta be all crazy good. It means you just have to have fun with it. Same goes for social skills. You just gotta have fun with it. Just work on it, get better, learn the ins and outs. So shoulders are kind of, oops. That way. Let's see here. Shoulders gonna droop down. And that's about right. There's her head. Yeah, she's not big. She's a very small person. Because she's based on a pawn. And pawns are nice and thin. A wide base, which is why the cloak tapers out. I don't like that last shape there. First to learn it the hard way, yeah. I mean, truth be told, it's work hard and smart, right? Best of both worlds. A little bit of Mike Rowe for you there. But yeah, totally. Like, you can't have one without the other, right? And it does trail that much, though. Again, I need to... actually, what we're gonna do. Well, I'm getting flashbacks. This is funny. Because this is, you know, a scene I've already done before, technically speaking. I did like 3 years ago now. Jeez. Yeah, it's crazy to think that I did that film 3 years ago. Yeah, it's all interconnected. Sooner or later, hard work will be necessary. But knowing where to put your efforts most effectively, that's a big one. Take me, for example. I'm putting all of my effort into a comic nobody reads. That's not smart. Yeah, it's... Wow. Right? Is it? Yeah, because I released it in 2021. Which it's crazy. Like, here's the really crazy thing. So I have made a film for the past, like, 8 years. Like, every 3 years, basically. I made my first film in high school when I was a senior. That was back in 2015 when I released that. I made my second film 3 years later in Actually, it was 2017 that I made that film. Kind of late 27. Well, right? Or did I? No, I did that in 2017, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it was 2018. Pretty sure it was in 2018. So, okay, 2.5 years, whatever. But still, around 3 years. And then 3 years later, I did Blanking. I released that in 2021. That is 3 years, right? Hold on. Yeah, 2018 to, well, 2017. Whatever. About 3 years, every 3 years. And I'm getting to 3 years again. And I'm like, holy crap, like that was a lot faster, a lot less things happened in the time of my first film and frickin', you know, my second film and then my third film, and now like a lot less happened. So it feels like it just like whizzed by in terms of that gap. That doesn't look good. That looks really ugly. Hold on. I gotta... Maybe less... No, hold on. I gotta actually do this proper. So, it's like an accordion, blah, blah, blah. Kind of. Okay, that's not working. Hold on. I need to be a little bit more exaggerated. Okay. But yeah, so, and I do have in mind an idea for a film. Dang it. That I really want to do. To be fair, last time I didn't have anything going on, though. I have a big project I'm working on still, so. Yeah, no, I've been, I remember when I really started first getting into keyboard shortcuts and being like, yo, I want to get really good at this. Get my actions per minute up. I want to be like MMO, like, or not MMO, but like real-time strategy, like, player fast on the keyboard. I don't think I'm quite that fast. I don't think you really need that kind of speed for drawing. In fact, it probably like makes things worse. Sometimes I feel like I go too fast. Like I just want to move, you know, and I don't think through my actions as much as I should. My lines. Yeah. That reminds me. I need to I also have I have an MMO mouse that has like buttons all over it and stuff like that, like number buttons and whatnot. I need to set that up for like other programs. I bought that specifically so I'd have more buttons for like Blender and stuff like that. I'm just realizing how far over she is. Is that gonna work? 1 second. Let me open up the first cover real quick and just make sure of something. Because I use a border here. Okay, yeah, that's plenty of space. I have it's a very subtle border, so it'll cut across like right here. Which that'll be a little bit tight, but I'm okay with her being there because she's technically not the focus, right? He's the focus. And this composition looks interesting. So I kind of had this idea to kind of wrap in like that, so that's why things are kind of placed like that. Good old golden arc or whatever it's called. Golden ratio. Let's see here. But yeah, I need to set that up so that I can start using that mouse more efficiently. It was kind of annoying because I had DaVinci Resolve set up with it and it was really nice. Like at least in part. I hadn't finished setting it up. But then my mouse gave out the scroll wheel was going bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. On my premium gamer mouse. But got it taken care of. Gold Bob. Yeah, is that what the golden ratio is called now? Bob. Put a little Bob in there. Yeah, it was really annoying. Like it was super irritating because it was like double clicking because I use it a lot for like, you know, you want to open another tab or whatever. So you click, you mouse click or you scroll wheel click on a video or something like that. I don't know what I'm in the mood for. You know, I'm listening to Slift. I can go for Slift. Or zoom on. Come on. New tab work. Yeah, exactly. And so like you're, oh my gosh, it was, yeah, that was annoying. That was really annoying. Thankfully, I got it replaced. It did cost me 13 bucks in shipping, but I did get it replaced, and this mouse actually works. So that's nice. It's kind of weird though, because like I went to put the reason or whatever, and it's like, okay, I put my mouse type in and stuff like that, and everything, and I go to select the reason for it, like needing a replacement, and one of the reasons specified was scroll wheel issue. So I'm like, yep, that's it. So yeah, I guess they know about it. It's kind of annoying. Should have covered shipping if that was the case. Whatever. Not that big of a deal. I'm just glad it works this time. Overall, it was really hassle-free, so. You're off the hook for now, EVGA. Now I have another issue that I need to fix, and this one isn't going to be solved with a return to market tag. My board, my sound board, is an old Mackie. Just a manufacturer of boards. And typically, Mackie's really good. Typically, they're super robust, right? Like, nothing breaks a Mackie, right? Except when, for whatever reason, the signal is cutting out in what's called the aux send. And the aux send is really cool because basically it allows me to take inputs, right, from, say, an instrument I have, let's say an electric organ that I have sitting right over there, and I want to be able to send that into, let's say, some effects in, let's say, a synthesizer I have up above the organ, and I want to be able to send whatever I want into the synthesizer, right? So I have two inputs on that synthesizer. And so I can go, oh, cool, let me just jack 2 points out of the aux sends right into the synth, and then that will all carry back into the mains, right? And so now, whatever I tell to go over to the aux send, so the organ or my Game Boy or whatever I want, I can tell it to go through the aux, it'll go through the effects with 2 cables. That's it. That's all it takes. So I don't have to pick and choose. I can just send it through the aux. Boom, done. The only problem is that the aux has decided to pick up a nasty habit of dropping one of the channels. So I only have half the sound in my right ear. And it's because it's flaky. I actually fixed the issue earlier by cleaning the contacts. I took the whole board apart, got into the nitty-gritty. Actually, not the whole board. But I got into the contacts and stuff, like the ribbon cables and whatnot, which I ended up reading up on, and I guess those ribbon cables, back when this board was new, they were offering replacement cables. Yeah, it's really annoying. And what's really annoying about it is, actually I need to stretch my wrist, is like the what do you call it? The actually I'm gonna shift this over. I'll just do that. Okay. What was I saying? The ribbon cable, that's right. So the ribbon cables were like bad, basically, right? And so I've gone out and I've found replacement. You can buy them like on eBay, like specific kits for that board, but they're like $100. And it's like, you got to be kidding me, right? And so you can make your own ribbon cable. So if it worst comes to worst, I might do that, but I just feel like I can clean it up, right? Like that's the real issue, and it technically is, right? But I don't want to have to clean it every like 3 months if the cables start going out, right? That would be really annoying. But it's such a good board, and I got it for free because it was just lying around. essentially, not doing anything. And it's perfect for what I need. It's analog. It's great. The only kind of problem with analog is that, well, it's a good thing and a bad thing with analog is that it breaks, but in the way that it breaks, you can fix it, right? Whereas digital, it's like digital's great until it breaks. When it breaks, oh boy, have fun with that. Especially like if it's a driver issue or something like at that point you're hosed. If it's like a 20-year-old, or not even a 20-year-old, if it's like a 10-year-old board or a 10-year-old piece of equipment, and the company just decide, oh yeah, by the way, no legacy drivers, no nothing, no support. It's like, well, yeah, that's done, you know. And so it's like, I really want an analog board that works, right? I don't want to go digital, really. In fact, I'm trying to get away from digital as much as possible, because you still got to use a little bit of digital, but a little bit's a lot better than a whole lot. And so, yeah. If something's just expecting noise, easy. Just work with vacuum tubes. Yo. That would actually be kind of sick. It would be cool to have some like analog effects using vacuum tubes. My dad works with vacuum tubes all the time. He's into electronics and stuff like that, and old radios. And I'm talking like old radios. I'm talking like some of the stuff that he has is from the 30s and 40s, and all in working order because he repairs it. And so I could theoretically, you know, sit down with him and be like, okay, let's make something. Use an analog. I've been trying to learn electrical engineering on the side here and there. One of those things where I haven't had the time to really put into it. But boy, that would be, I don't know. There's something really cool about tubes. They're just, I don't know. It's so bizarre to me. It's really cool when you start looking into electronics, because you think of electronics, especially in this day and age, as being these very like mysterious things, where it's like, even if you open it up, it's like, well, you have no idea what it's doing, right? Because it's all in the chip and it's all programmed ones and zeros and digital and stuff like that. But with tubes, it's like, oh yeah, I literally can look at this and see how it works, right? With some just surface level knowledge, essentially. And you can trace it back and you can figure out how it works, right? Like that's really cool. It's kind of weird that that's kind of novel now, right? Because like that's how most things used to be when you think about it. Like old tractors and stuff like that. You open up an old tractor, and again, with some surface level knowledge, you know how it works. Modern cars, again, it's all in the chip essentially, or whatever. It's all these like electronic controls and whatnot. And overly designed and everything like that. Well, easier, I should say. I still am trying to wrap my head around some of the stuff that comes with them. But definitely easier, and that makes them kind of fun to study. In fact, that's what's been kind of fun about doing stuff with the Game Boy. That's been my real, like, the thing that I've been really kind of cutting my teeth on, which I need to get back on and try to actually really solve the problem, because so I have an interface that my dad built using a schematic online called an Arduino boy, and theoretically everything we did should work, theoretically, but it doesn't. So we're not 100% sure what's going on, right? So I need to actually sit down. I need to figure out how to use that oscilloscope I've got sitting back there. And I need to like just start doing some testing and sorting that out. One thing I want to try is a different power source. Yeah, essentially, and now with like AI and stuff like that, people are going to be even less connected. Like that's the weird. I think that's going to be the weirdest thing with AI is that, like, it kind of used to be like everyone knew how to work on a car, right? Because cars were so prevalent in people's lives, and you kind of had to, right? It was just like an inherent skill. And then if you go back further, people knew how to grow wheat and crap. Like people knew how to grow things and survive, and now that's like not a thing. Like people don't know how to grow things other than put seeds in groundwater, right? They don't know agriculture. Clarke's third law is becoming increasingly true. I don't know if is that Arthur C. Clarke? Who would that be? Because when I think, I don't know that. I don't know if I'm familiar with that actually, but it's weird to think that like with AI, it's like now almost everything is on the table. Arthur C. Clarke. Okay, yeah. I'm not so what's I know Asimov's rules for robotics or whatever, but I'm not familiar with Arthur C. Clarke's laws. But any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from that's it. Okay, I have heard that. I think I at one point knew that was Arthur C. Clarke. I've never actually read any of his stuff, funny enough. I've heard Rama's really good. Maybe I'll have to sit down with one of his books one of these days. But yeah, no, like but it's not even just like technology. That's what's kind of getting weird. It's art, right? Like that's a really good example. It's like, oh, you don't need to learn how to draw anymore, quote unquote, right? If you want a crappy result, that is. But if you're just looking for that immediate gratification, which you know we've kind of been curated for over the past decade or two, like all of a sudden everything's gonna just be magic. It's like, oh, I don't need to know how to draw, right? I don't need to know how to make a recipe. I can just ask the AI to do it for me. Like I even heard like someone say, I don't know if this is true or not, but I can believe it. If it's not true yet, it's going to be. People are like asking ChatGPT to be able to respond to text for them. It's like, okay, that's like the first time I actually got scared by the prospect of AI. Because like I'm not terrified of it necessarily stealing my job or whatever. Because like the thing is that the people who are going to implement AI, that's what they're looking for. So I'm just going to be a burden for them. So they're going to hate me anyway. You know? So like they're going to want to make my life miserable anyway. So I kind of don't want to work for them as is. It has other implications and stuff like that that's kind of troubling. But the big one, like when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, people aren't going to know how to interact with each other. They're going to like just put everything into the AI to exist for them. Like there are going to be people who do that. Like 100%. And that is terrifying. Like that's weird. Like are just like that's a sci-fi idea. I'm almost certain like someone's done that. I feel like there is a story that's done that. This method is far less efficient and more bloated. Yeah, go figure. Man, that's so weird. Like the human experience is becoming like people aren't confident in their own ability to be human. Like that's weird, man. That's freaking weird. Like I don't know. That's the weirdest part to me. Like I already feel like there's kind of a principle I've been sort of thinking about, and it's the idea I haven't found a really good way to put it into words, but I have a story that's based on the concept that I want to get to one of these days. But it's the idea that like there's a possibility at the very least that okay, this actually would go off here. There's the possibility that you could have a system, right? Whatever that is, like a corporate system or whatever it is, right? Of people doing something. And the result just kind of happens, right? Now, typically you do have like a CEO, you have someone overseeing it, you have managers and you have things like that, right? Who see the bigger picture. But I don't think we're all that far removed from the ability for no one to actually know where things are headed. Let's just take a product, for example, like a widget, right? Just a generic, let's just call it a widget, right? And everybody's assigned their task. And aside from the individual who decided, hey, we're going to make this, nobody else knows what they're building, right? Now, what happens if that guy just sort of leaves and lets things kind of run and operate? And he doesn't have to do anything, right? Because it's all been managed already, and it's like already sort of happened. Like that can just be kind of happening. What does it evolve into eventually, right? Let's say the manager of a specific branch is like, oh, I need to change things up this way, right? And the marketing's like, oh, how about we change this, and this, right? And all of a sudden, you wind up with something that isn't the product of anyone. Right? Because their product, the individual's product, they're just doing the one little bit, right? Like the capacitor that puts into the board or whatever, right? That's their product. But then this new thing kind of comes out of it, right? This whole new conglomeration kind of comes out of it. And so with like this whole AI thing, it's like, well, how about we just let the AI decide what we do and we just kind of do it, you know? Like, we just kind of instead of building the AI around ourselves, we kind of build us around the AI. It's like, boy, that'll be weird. You know, I don't know where it'll end or where it'll lead, or if it'll lead anywhere. Maybe it'll just all fall apart. Yeah, corporate emails are inefficient and bloated. But that's kind of telling, honestly, because like. This most disruptive. We'll see. I mean, it might be kind of a limiting factor though. If something is that disruptive, it might just become unappealing, right? Like, but at the same time, if it's made with enough aesthetic, economy-wise. Let me think about that. We'll see. That might be the case. I mean, I'm trying to think because there's been technical revolutions, right? You have like the Industrial Revolution and everything like that. So we're not necessarily foreign to the idea of disruptive technology or technology that is expanded into new territories. But this one's different because it is so much eliminating the human factor. You know, whereas machines allowed for like machines were built for the need of an expanding populace, right? It was like, okay, well, we need more clothes, we need more barrels, we need more food processed, essentially. We gotta feed people, right? That was all for the sake of like things you need to live. Right? Food and shelter and clothes and everything like that. This is art. You know? This isn't a necessity. In fact, it's arguable that it's better without there being too much, right? Like, if you have too much food, to the point that like everyone has food, right? That's not a bad thing, right? Like everybody has enough food, no one's starving. Hey, that's great, right? If you have too much art, it becomes dull. You're not finding anything new, especially if it's being just mass produced, right? It's like, well, this isn't actually fulfilling its need. It's like if we decided, okay, we're gonna eat gravel. We're gonna make gravel edible. We're gonna turn it into like a paste somehow, right? But it doesn't have any nutrients. It's like, wait. why are you doing that? And it's like, well, it's way more efficient. It's like everybody, there's lots of gravel in the world, right? Gravel's super common. So we're going to solve hunger by making everyone eat gravel. And it's like, I think you lost the point, you know? Create demand in other areas, yeah. Are faster and better at that at it than human. Street level Turing translations, and also its forte. Trying to compare articles. Yeah. Yeah, so it's gonna it's gonna get interesting. It is gonna get interesting. But I don't know. I feel like people are going to get sick of it at the same time. And maybe it'll come back to that kind of limiting factor I talked about, where if it's so disruptive that it becomes inhuman, it has a natural inability to be appealing, right? But then again, you had the internet, and in many ways, something you can kind of look at the internet for is like, you could say that the internet has kind of replaced social interaction, like in-person social interaction, and that has had its own detriment, right? And we haven't slowed down one bit in terms of that. So there's that, right? Yeah, so I totally see where that's coming from, and I guess we'll see, you know? I guess we'll have to wait and see, because no one's gonna stop this crazy mess that everyone's getting themselves into, you know? We're getting to a point where it's like, okay, maybe we should start watching those old sci-fi movies again and really, like, recontextualize them, because some of them used to be a theoretical, right? And it's like, not anymore. And that's a little weird. That's you know, we're starting to get into the Twilight Zone territory, you know, like. The best prophecy I heard was, I don't know what will happen in the next 6 months. Yeah. Well, with the ever-growing just prospect that we have demanded out of the advancement of technology, that has never been more true. More quickly, right? It's like, it's just crazy. I don't know. That's why this is part of the reason, like, I buy a new computer and stuff. I have a new computer and everything like that. So, like, I'm part of the new technological era and everything. But, you know, at the same time, I have a TV from 1981 hooked up to my computer. Why? Because you can do it. It's kind of fun. And, like, it's there, right? It should be used. It shouldn't just be thrown away. So I don't know. It's like, it's good to like slow down. It's really good to slow down and like kind of be like, you know what? I can kind of just like use what I have, right? And appreciate it and not be looking for the next thing, you know, right? But that's kind of where it's kind of interesting, because I'm in a number of places, you know, with animators and such, and so I'm working with, obviously my whole thing is more of a traditional approach, even though I'm a digital artist. I like to kind of take the approach of combining both worlds. I guess that's kind of me in a nutshell. But you know, a lot of us, you know, in the sphere, you know, think of like the Lackadaisy crew and stuff like that. They made a film in a very traditional way, you know, using modern technology and advancements and power of the internet to connect people and everything like that. But ultimately, the result is a film that's not unfamiliar and is very appealing because of that. It's very human because of that. But I'm also in a place with a lot of designers, and they are specifically motion artists. and they're very like trendy. They like to chase after the next big thing, right? That's a lot of what their job has to do with, right? And it's really interesting just seeing the dynamicism. And they're so both of these people groups, these different groups, are animators, right? That's what they are. But the approach is so different in terms of like looking at this technology. Like I remember, it's really funny. Hand drawings and will become a luxury for wealthier individuals. Well, see, that's the irony of it is that's always what it's kind of been. We just tried to make it more accessible as much as we could. But I mean, if you go back, like I mean, who made the Sistine Chapel happen, right? It was the friggin' Pope, right? It was a lot of money. That's what made the Sistine Chapel happen, right? You know, to support the sheer artistry of one like Michelangelo, an artist like Michelangelo. And that's the way it was for a long time. You had these kings and these rulers and stuff like that who were like, well, you make me some really cool art. I just want to see myself painted in a good light, right? Think about Napoleon or something like that. These fantastic Napoleonic era paintings of him and stuff like that. Propagandist in nature almost, but still very luxurious, very well done crafts, these master crafts. Yeah, well, that's kind of the funny thing about it is like that it always kind of comes around. The more that things change, the more they stay the same. Quote some Rush for you, but yeah, it is just kind of funny. But going back to the other idea, so when Corridor put out their film or whatever it was, they used AI to quote unquote animate. As per Ecclesiastes, exactly, yeah. That is in Ecclesiastes, isn't it? That's funny. So there was two responses basically. There was, you know, either people who don't know animation all that well, or the designers who are looking at the trends, right? Going, wow, like how'd they do this? This is incredible, you know, blah 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 blah. You know, they're blown away by it. You show it to the other animators, the character animators, the actual people who animate like characters and stuff like that. They're like, oh wow, it looks like crap. It looks terrible, you know? And I gotta admit, I'm one of those people. I think it looks awful. Actually, truth be told, in a more diplomatic way, it looks boring to me. It's not exciting. It's lacking, right? But it was just so funny to kind of see that dynamic. And it's just kind of weird being in that environment with those motion artists and stuff. And nothing against them or anything like that at all. But I think that in an ironic sort of twist, they're going to be the ones more so than the traditionalists in terms of animation goes, like the character animators. They're going to be the ones to put themselves out of a job sooner with AI in pursuing it than the traditionalist who kind of sticks to their guns. Because the traditionalist will always be looking for ways to make it interesting, right? Whereas the direction that a trend runner is going, they're going to lean into that which is going to cheapen their worth, essentially, right? We'll see how it plays out. You know, maybe you know they'll get really good at using it to market for themselves or something like that, or using it as a way of marketing. I mean, for goodness sakes, they're selling prompts. I couldn't believe this one. They are selling words to people, being like, "Oh, hey, these are great prompts for AI generation." It's like these are sentences, my guy. Like, that just blows my mind. Like, how... I can't even wrap my head around that. I'm like, bud, like, I have a hard time bringing myself to buy, like, a new program I can make stuff in, right? Or plugins that I can, like, that are actual tools, you know? Or a new Cintiq that I can make better art on or something like that, right? Like, let alone freaking sentences for, like, $10 a pop that you can come up with on your own. Like, I'm just like, I don't know. I was blown away by that. That just, oh man. Do you hear speculation prompt consulting? That's just so weird to me. Like, that is a... You know there's jobs that you do that, like, anyone can do, and you're doing, like, 2 hours of work over 8 hours, or, like, 45 minutes of work over an 8-hour shift or whatever. That's what that sounds like. It sounds miserable. It's like you're flipping through the dictionary just to see. Conceptual. Is that a good word? Let's try it. Nah, that doesn't. Flip through it again. like, what do you do? Like, what do you do? It's just words. It's just words. It's just words. I don't get it. I don't know. It's so weird. It's just so weird. I just don't see that lasting. I'm reluctant. Like, it's interesting because, like, I don't want to be one of those people who's like, oh, it's a fad, right? Like, everybody called the internet a fad, and it's like, no, the internet was not a fad, right? Like, even looking back at it, it's like, no, there was something there, right? Like the possibilities are infinite, right? Or moving pictures were a fad, or whatever, right? Or talkies, freaking talkies were a fad, right? It's like, oh, that's gonna go. We're gonna go back to silence anyway, like, because that's the art form, right? But here's the thing: they're words, right? It's not. It doesn't carry any prospect of manipulation, right? It's not. You're not actually engaging fundamentally cognizantly with the end result. So is it a fad? I think it should be. I think that we should, like, reorient ourselves and start thinking, like, going, okay, guys, like, really? But, you know, that's, at the end of the day, I don't really care. It's like, if people want to waste their money on buying words that they could look up in the dictionary, sure, you know, whatever, right? Oh, Jetsons, yeah. It's more valuable than others. Yeah. I mean, here's what I hope. At the end of the day, I am not opposed to new tools. Flat out. If something has the potential to become a very good tool in the belt of an artist, right? Like, look at me. I am not a traditional artist. I am using a digital program. There are probably people who absolutely hated that. In fact, there was a really funny instance where there was a guy who was a traditional, like, Warner Brothers animator or something like that, bashing a new cartoon short that had come out for being digital, essentially. Saying things like, oh, these people don't know how to draw. Like, look at this, right? And they're going frame by frame and stuff like that, looking at the frames and whatnot. And he's like this old school, you know, traditional animator and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, that's cool and everything, but you're disregarding an entire spectrum of the art form at the end of the day. At the very least, an art form in and of itself, right? So people completely We're just like, okay, yeah, this is stupid. So, like, I am not at all opposed to tools. I love tools. But there's a difference between a tool and there's a difference between a button that you pretend is a tool. Right? There's a difference between actually putting up a wall for a building or something like that and just kind of pretending that it's there, right? Or like, what's a good analogy? It's like using paper instead of drywall. That kind of works. It's like using paper instead of drywall, and you go, oh yeah, it's done. The wall's done. Like, okay, it might be good for like a basis, maybe, kind of. Except for the wind tore it over there, and it fell apart over here, and now it's wet because it rained once, and like, you're just kind of sitting there pretending, right, the whole time. But if it's like, okay, well, how about we use a paper-like substance to make walls cheaper or to be able to make walls faster, right? It's like, okay, I could see that. But it's still a wall, right? It has to be, at the end of the day, it has to be a wall. It has to be able, you have to be able to use it like a wall. So AI, in much the same way, have to be able to use it like an artist's tool. And we are not right now, we are not there. Putting prompts into a machine and getting a result, that does not make you an artist. Because, and here's why, that would mean everyone who hires an artist and tells them what to do, that would make them the artist. And I don't think that's the case at the end of the day, right? You'd have to be awfully pretentious. Anyway, we've been talking about AI for a while. I don't give a crap about AI, honestly. I really don't care. I like art. I like doing art. I like making art. I like watching people make art. Far into human thought patterns, they can be used as tools. They don't have to be, though. Yeah. But funny, like, it's funny that you bring that up because the idea of intelligence, you know, that's kind of a misleading term, artificial intelligence, as it's used, because the concepts of artificial intelligence go back as far as, I think, like the 60s. But they had a very different definition of artificial intelligence, one that was actually based on, you know, the concept of intelligence, the ability to think for oneself, you know, cognizance and stuff like that. These machines are not intelligent, right? Like, you can't really argue that. They can do things, right? Prompted and stuff like that based on, you know, all this kind of stuff or whatever. But it's not intelligence at the end of the day. Well, exactly. There's a whole point to doing something with your hands, right? I think that's the really unfortunate thing, is we're getting to this point where people are becoming less and less confident in themselves to do things with their hands of their own volition. You know, they become afraid of the world in a way. They want to distance themselves from their failures. It's like, you know, for all the times that we tell ourselves failure is a good thing, which, yes, it is, right? Because you learn from it, if you're learning from it and everything like that. Yeah, we so often try to run away from it. And I guess that's only natural. And I guess we can't ever really be free of that concept. Nothing new there. That being said, though, honestly, you know, a lot of people are kind of preaching doom and gloom, but I'm honestly kind of like, I'm optimistic in terms of like art and stuff like that. Because actually, someone put it really well, where it's like, because of all this art prompting crap coming up, it seems like everyone's becoming an art critic, and it's like they're becoming critical of AI art, and so they're learning like why art is what makes art like fun and interesting and good, right? And they're actually appreciating it more. And it's like, well, hey, that's a good thing to come out of it. People are becoming more aware of the efforts that people impart into their work. People like me and like the animators on Lackadaisy and stuff like that. People are now more aware of the actual intention that goes into it. It's like, hey, that's pretty cool. So if we can chase that, we can be like, hey, we're making real art over here. People can go, hey, I like real art. I'ma support that. I'm gonna go watch that. I'm gonna share that around. I'm gonna look for the cool stuff, right? I don't know. Let the corporations shoot themselves in the foot. There's such a thing as too much failure. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, exactly. It's about learning, right? Failure is only really good when you're learning from it. In a way, like, it has to be the right environment, right? Like, I don't think you want to fail on your way to the moon. That's not a good thing to fail at. So like, oops, well, failure is a good thing, you know? So no, yeah, there's definitely a time and a place. Yeah, no you don't. Speaking from experience on that one. Why do you think I'm trapped on the moon right now? Subsisting off of moon fungus. And yes, it does taste like cheese. Yeah, for sure. No, the Apollo missions, oof. Hey. That wasn't always smooth sailing, that's for sure. '12 and 13. Yeah, I can't remember. Was it? Yeah, Apollo 13 was the one where like everything went wrong, but I think they still managed. They still managed to get back home safe. Then you have the really bad ones like the Challenger, which didn't even get into orbit. That was bad. That really kind of. It was kind of Challenger that sort of really showcased like, okay, you don't just go to space, you know. Like there needs to be like, this is like dangerous, you know. Just when you're dealing with that much energy, there's only so much you can do to make things not horrifically dangerous. Yeah, I can imagine. Well, and that's why, man, the people that they choose, like they do like serious psychological evaluation and stuff like that to make sure, like, okay, you'll be able to handle yourself up there. Oops. Come on. Because yeah, it's for real, man. It's crazy up there. Yeah. Well, hey, when you live, yeah, that's something to be happy about. Speaking from experience on that one, like actually speaking from experience on that one, it's like, oh, I'm gonna live. Wow, boy, yeah, that was touch and go for a little bit. Glad to be here. Oh, dang it. You know, actually, that's fine because I just started this. I wanted to record this, but I am. So, good. Okay. I'll need to remember, though, to start the time-lapse later. The Gemini mission that went wrong in every possible way short of the astronauts dying? Yeesh. I don't remember the Gemini mission. What was the, what were they doing with that one? Because it sounds familiar, but I can't remember what the goal of that one was. Forget what they were trying to do. Wasn't there an emergency on the International Space Station? A little bit ago? I feel like there was something. They had to send up a emergency capsule or whatever. Preceded the Apollo project. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Yeah, that does sound familiar. I remember there's a story about the first guy, well, first astronaut who went into space. And he might have been we didn't send, the Soviet Union sent the first object into space. But I can't remember, did we send the first person into space or not? I feel like we did, but I can't remember if they beat us to that as well. They might have. I feel like there was something like that. I wanted to say cosmonauts were in space first. But either way, the first human that we sent, the states sent into the space, NASA and all that. There was a reading that the heat shield failed that they had installed. And like the guy who was on there, I can't remember his name. I want to say it was like Andrew something. I don't remember. Or Ryan or something like that. Andrew Ryan. Probably not Andrew Ryan, I'm not gonna lie. But like before he even launched, his heartbeat was like at measuring at like 220 or something like that. He was so nervous. It's like, yeah, fair, dude. But thankfully, like it was a misread essentially, so the shield was fine, and he was able to make it back to Earth safely. Crazy stuff, man. Oh, yes. I think I know what you're referring to. Yeah, they were trying to dock, weren't they? And I can't, when they docked, it started spinning and they're like, oh no. Yeah, they did dock. That's right. And it starts spinning. They're like, okay, release the docking. They release the docking, and then of course, you know, the what's that effect called? Where you if you're spinning, you can bring your arms in, and you'll go faster. Essentially, that took place, and it starts spinning faster. And so the pilot aboard had a thrust chamber power on without ability to shut it off. Oh no, then I'm thinking of something else. Because what I'm thinking of, maybe it was that, but they used the return thrusters to basically stop it and then head back home. But yeah, no, that was either it was a different instance or it was something. Yeah, centrifugal force. Yeah, centrifugal. Either that's the same one or they, on more than one occasion, had something like that happen. Okay, so yeah, it is the same thing. Yeah, no, I remember watching a documentary, like a NASA documentary on all that a long time ago, and just the idea of that, man, was just, oh my gosh, because it's like, it's one of those things where it's like you don't just pull over to the side of the road, right? You don't just drop anchor. It's like you're in friggin' space. Like there's so many things that can go wrong and that do go wrong, and man, like it's just, yeah. No, that's all right. That works. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so they were able to remove it. Yeah. That's why they did it. That's right. I remember there was another instance of an astronaut. Oh gosh, I don't remember what mission this was, but basically the guy, I don't think it was that. I don't think it was that same instance, but basically it was really crazy. Two of the clocks that they were using to synchronize were off, right? And they're like, oh crap, we need to recalculate our thrusts, like when we're going to thrust things, basically. And one of the guys had to calculate when to do the burn and how much to do the burn and everything like that while keeping track of two clocks in his head. It's like, dang, dude. Wow, that's impressive. It's a good thing you were able to do that, because oh boy. I can't remember when that was. Yeah, no, it's really crazy. And it might have been docking. They might have been trying to dock, and basically one ship was because the clocks were off, like things weren't aligned, right? And it's space, everything needs to be aligned and planned out for months in advance. Yeah, I wish I could remember what mission that was. It's been so long, though. What time is it? Oh, it's almost time to end stream here. I'll be going. Yeah, Newton's first Lego bird, yeah. I can keep going for a little while, though. I'm having fun. This is a fun stream. It's always fun when you have someone who's really, like, talkative in chat and talk about all kinds of cool things. It really makes the time fly. It's nice. Yeah. Will this look good? Still stuck 2 hours ago. Yeah, that works. That gives some dimension to the scene. He's gonna be fun to draw because I actually redesigned him a little bit, slightly. That's a big tree. I'm gonna shrink that tree up here a little bit. Rather make it a little bit thinner. The sword? Oh, that's not a sword. Let me show you what that thing looks like. Where is he? This is him. This is the animation version. This is the first. This is actually the first time I drew him like this. I actually have other. 1 second. I have other drawings of him when he was just called the Master. Where is that? There it is. And I was kind of going for a more Rudy design and everything like that, but he was always intended to be based on a pawn. Actually, he wasn't always intended. That came later. But I decided I didn't want to animate this. Yeah, so we went to the slightly simpler design, which was still quite a bit to animate, because I had to keep this design in check, basically. I had to, like, be conscious of this design the whole time. Oh yeah, and these are the textures I used. But yeah, so this is him, basically. And so he's just kind of there, he's just kind of waiting. And if you want to see him, he's in the film. I don't know if you've seen the film I did for this story. If you don't want to be spoiled on what happens in the next chapter, don't watch it. But if you're not too concerned, and you're rooting for me, somebody has to be. Okay, what can we do here? We can do the stump lines. Room for drawing roots. Drawing roots is fun. I always like to draw roots. That's why I do a lot of trees and foresty areas, because drawing trees it's fun. Yeah, happy friend, because everybody needs a friend. Yeah, I don't know. I think these trees might be a little traumatized. At least if they could see, maybe they're blissfully unaware of what goes on in the midst of them. Not happy. No. A very disturbed little tree that has seen too much for its poor little branches to be happy. Let's see here. Just say there's a reason why there's like tattered robes like her or cloaks like hers hanging in the trees. Those weren't always there. This is a dangerous place. And before one of the trees taps her shoulders. Well, I would say not quite, except for this guy exists. So, I don't know, maybe something like that. Who knows, honestly? That's kind of the point. Who knows what's out there? Probably something living. Something's alive that shouldn't be, that's for sure. I don't feel like doing that right now, honestly. I want to figure out this tree up here. Let's have it disappear behind her. Let's see. Boy. Not quite that shape. Yeah, get yourself some sleep as best you can. I'll be getting off here soon myself, actually. I usually only stream for about 2 hours. And we've made some pretty good progress. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, this is coming together. I'll probably kind of work on this line a little bit as well, just to get the right shape. Or her shoulder, maybe her shoulder needs to be a little bit broader. We'll see. But either that, or actually, you know, I might need to rethink that a little bit. This little thing might need to be back over here. Well, I'm glad that you had a good time. I'm glad you were able to stop by and chat. It's been so long. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you. I say tentatively. Hopefully I'll see you again. Hopefully you'll actually have some sleep under your belt. But either way, if you ever need something to kind of occupy your mind while it's late, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard. But yeah, this is coming along. I'll probably work on this a little bit longer and then call it a night here. But yeah, really appreciate it. Yeah. No, definitely. Let's see. Boy. I'll need to figure out what to do with the grass, that's for sure. I'll sort something out. Now let's figure out this branch. Rather large limb, honestly. It's gonna come out that far. Maybe not quite that far, actually. Actually, yeah. Let's try this. Well, that's about perfect timing because I'm about to wrap up here. So let's go ahead, finish up just a little bit more. Yeah, that's coming along. This one will probably take about a good week or so, unless I really kind of crank out the line work over the weekend or something, which I might try to do. I might be resting as well, though, so we'll see what I can do. But either way, let's finish up. We are done. So we are going to, let me throw something on here. Yes, I'll do. With all that being said and done and everything like that, we made some good, decent progress. I like how this cover is coming along. Going from the thumbnail here. Yeah, it's coming. So there's going to be a lot of little detail work to do and everything like that, all the little nicks and cracks and crannies and stuff like that. I'm actually probably also going to shift this to be a little bit more reflective of the actual shape of the cloak. Because right now it's not where it needs to be. But let's see here. Yeah, it's coming along, and that makes me excited because once this is done and the lettering is done for the comic, that's it. It's going to be up on my site, so stay tuned. Hopefully, we'll see if I can get this cover done by next week. I really want to. That way I can put it all together and ship it out the door for people to read. And then probably take the rest of the month off and get back to the next part of the chapter in May. So yeah, lots to do, lots to work on. Who knows, maybe I can really crank some stuff out over the summer as well. I'll have a little bit more time, so that'll be nice. Until next time, we will be back on next Tuesday. Hopefully there shouldn't be anything that comes up. My brother should be back as well. And yeah, we'll just keep on going. So 6 p.m. Pacific Standard, and yeah. Wait.